Confirming we have quorum.
Thank you for that, Jennifer. All right, it's time. Good evening. My name is Rolando Bonilla, and I am the chair of the San Jose Planning Commission. Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. This meeting is being held via Zoom conference call due to the COVID-19 crisis. Members of the public may participate by following the instructions listed on the agenda. You may also view and listen to the meeting on live stream, cable TV, Granicus, and YouTube. Following roll call during summary of hearing procedure, we will review how the public may provide comment during today's session. With that, I will now take roll call. Bonilla, aye. Casey.
Here.
Caballero.
Here.
Cantrell.
Here.
Garcia. Garcia. Okay. Lardenois.
Here.
Montañez. Montañez. Oliverio. Oliverio. Ornelas Wise.
Here.
Torrens. Torrens.
Here.
Young. Torrens is here. Young.
Here.
Let the record reflect that at the moment, Commissioners Garcia, Montañez, and Oliverio are not present. Summary.
I'm here. Yeah, they're here.
Chair Bonilla.
They are here?
Chair Bonilla as well.
Okay, so thank you for that. Summary of hearing procedures. The procedure for the hearing is as follows. After the staff report, applicants and appellants may make a 5-minute presentation. City staff will call out names of the public who identified the items they want to speak on. You may identify yourself by the raised hand feature on Zoom, click *9 on your phone, or you may call 408-535-3505 or email planningsupportstaff@sanjoseca.gov and identify your name, phone number, and what item or items you would like to speak on. As your name is called, city staff will unmute you to speak. After we confirm your audio is working, your allotted time will begin. Each speaker will have 2 minutes. Speakers using a translator will have 4 minutes. After the public testimony, the applicant and appellant may make closing remarks for an additional 5 minutes. Planning commissioners may ask questions of the speakers. Response to commissioner questions will not reduce the speaker's time allowance. Staff will unmute the speaker to respond to the commissioner. The public hearing will then be closed and the Planning Commission will take action on the item. The Planning Commission may request staff to respond to the public testimony, ask staff questions, and discuss the item. If you challenge these land use decisions in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. The Planning Commission's actions on rezoning, pre-zonings, general plan amendments, and code amendments is only advisory to the City Council. The City Council will hold public hearings on these items. Section 20.120.400 of the Municipal Code provides the procedures for legal protests to the City Council on rezonings and pre-zonings. The Planning Commission's actions on conditional use permits is appealable to the City Council in accordance with Section 20.100.220 of the Municipal Code. With that, we will now go to public comment. Staff, do we have any speakers for public comment on items that are not on the Planning Commission agenda? And let me be very clear to anyone that may be in the queue. This is for items that are not on the agenda. If you do speak on an item that is on the agenda, I will respectfully have to cut off your time so that you can go to the allotted time. So with that, Jennifer, do we have any public comment?
Confirming we have no request for public comment at this time.
All right, great. Thank you. So now we'll move on to item 3, deferrals and removals from calendar. Sounds like we don't have any items. Staff, though, do we have any items to defer today? Doesn't look like it. All right.
No, we don't.
Thank you, Robert. With that, I will now move to item 4, the consent calendar. I'm going to rearrange the order, the batting order on this item and pull out an item so that we can vote on that item on its own. And then we will vote on the rest per advice of counsel. I will give the floor to Commissioner Young to explain why we will be pulling out item 4C as a standalone. We'll vote on item 4C, and then we'll come back and vote on the remaining consent package. Commissioner Young, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I do have a conflict of interest on item 4C. I do own some stock in Apple, which is one of the companies we're going to review. So I'm going to recuse myself, leave the meeting at this time, and my understanding is staff will re-invite me when the item is concluded. Thank you.
All right, so with that, let's make sure Commissioner Young is off the grid here. Commissioner Torres, I see you have a question. Your hand is up.
Yeah, I do. That just brought to mind, I think I need to recuse myself as well. I'm so sorry I didn't realize that. So we'll be off for this item, and then you'll let us know when to come back? Or how will that work?
We'll think about it. No, of course, we'll invite you back when we're done with 4C.
Correct, Commissioner Torrens, but could you please state for the record what your conflict is?
Okay, so my conflict is that I own some Apple stock.
Okay, and it's over $2,000 in value, correct? That's the threshold for not being able to vote. It would be the current value would need to be over $2,000.
Okay, I sold a lot of it. I only kept a little, so I think maybe I'm okay.
Well, I think
But if you're not sure,
yeah.
if you're not sure, the better part of this is to abstain.
Okay, I will abstain.
and it's
Thank
Apple
you.
stock. It's already at 2,000 a share or something, right? So play it safe.
Right? Okay, so you'll
Commis-
text me, or how will I know when to come back?
Jennifer will reach out to you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Commissioner Cantrell, it sounds like you raised your hand. You may be in a similar predicament.
Yes, I am, and it is over. It's almost all over 2,000. So I'll have to recuse myself as well.
Again, it's Apple. That's one share, so we get it. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
Right.
All right. Anyone else have any conflicts at this very moment?
Hi, Vera. I'd like to mention that we no longer have quorum.
Uh-oh.
Oh, really? Okay,
We're
then
not-
this item will need to be continued.
I'll move to continue this to our next meeting.
I'll second it. So at this point, let's take a roll call vote for continuing item 4C. Bonilla, aye. Casey,
Aye.
Caballero,
Hi.
Garcia,
Aye.
Lardenois,
Aye.
Montañez,
Aye.
Oliverio, Ornelas Wise.
Aye.
All right, and with that, item 4C has now been continued until the next meeting that we have in a couple of weeks. Okay,
Hi.
so
Hi, Chair. Can you please allow me a few minutes to call Torrens and Young back to the meeting?
yeah, I was actually just going to say that to you. Perfect timing. I can't upset Jennifer. She makes me look like I know what I'm doing, so I'm listening.
And Chair Bonilla,
Yes.
we need to tell them that they're going to need to abstain at the next meeting because we didn't have a quorum.
Understood. Thank you for that, Vera.
Yeah, and it was continued. Thank you.
And Jennifer, just let me know when they're all back.
Will do.
Thank you.
So, question: could staff send like emphasize in the email for the next meeting about attendance? Because if we're gonna have 3 people out, then we need to have almost everybody else in attendance.
That's a great point, Commissioner Lardenois. We'll make city staff, if we can send an email reminding everyone why quorum is so critical in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Would be helpful. They didn't have time to run to the kitchen to make a sandwich. I'm already calling them back in.
Entirely hypothetical, Mero. What would happen if we had something like this and so many people had a conflict that it was impossible to get a quorum?
Well, what can happen is that there is a rule of necessity. There's a rule of necessity under the Political Reform Act that I would have to review again that allows us to basically draw straws and one of the people can probably vote. But it has to be where literally everybody is not there who could vote. You know, it
Right.
would be, for example, if you had 6 people who
Right.
had to abstain. The other thing too is it could be kicked up to council to make the decision.
Right,
Obviously,
since we're just
you
making
know,
a recommendation
if
anyways.
you all can't. No, actually, you're not. This is actually
Oh.
a final adoption of a resolution. The only time that these go to council, these annual reviews of development agreements go to council is if someone is out of compliance.
You
May I
guys,
ask who initiated the motion, please? I know it was seconded by Chair Bonilla.
For
Lardenois.
continuance, that was me. Yeah.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Oliverio looks like he's in the attendee queue. I don't know if that would change. What's going on here?
I think with him, we'll have quorum. Right, Jennifer?
Yeah, do we have a quorum with Oliverio?
Yes, he is now present.
I think Jennifer's trying to call people back.
Right.
Now, what we can do is if we get them back is because we're not giving money to anybody, and we would otherwise be legally required to take this first if there was money in the game, and these people were and all of these people under Section 4 were competing for the same Sunday, like you do for CDBG
Yeah.
grants and other things. We have to take them first, but because that's not the case here,
Yeah.
why don't we take items 4A, B, and then the other items under 4 under consent, and then keep 4C for a separate vote at the end.
You know, that's a great suggestion. I'm just going to go ahead and keep it deferred for 2 weeks from now. So I think.
Okay, are you okay?
Yeah. Let's just keep the train moving.
Okay.
Hi,
Okay.
Chair Bonilla and staff, confirming that with Oliverio here in attendance, we do need quorum. And I also did call the other commissioners, but unfortunately it went straight to voicemail. So I'm gonna send them an email, but I did leave them a voicemail to rejoin. But
Yeah,
we do now have quorum.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and keep it deferred before we start kind of trying to do gymnastics and stuff. But thank you. So with that, we've got a motion on the floor by Lardenois, second by Bonilla. And we taken a vote? No, right?
We did take a vote.
We did. All right. So it's approved. So it's deferred. So,
That's
all right. So now the question is, we're just going to move forward then with the meeting until they join on. So let's now go to the consent calendar. We're going to be looking at items 4A and B. Jennifer, is there any public comment regarding the consent calendar?
Chair Bonilla,
Yes?
so if we could have the slideshow move forward, because we're still on item 3B, which I believe is the deferral.
Got it. Jennifer, can you please move the slideshow for us?
Doing a lot for us today.
I know. I was trying to cut her a break.
Or perhaps, Chair, you might have your numbers wrong. I think we're on items 3.
Yeah, we're on consent calendar at this time. So item 3B and the minutes have not been, that has not gone through this decision making.
Chair, I think it was mislabeled. So the items shown as 3A and B are actually item 4A and B, even though it's mentioned. So it is the correct item. It's just
Got it.
mislabeled.
Playing with my mind, Commissioner Caballero. That's
Motion
okay.
to approve the consent calendars, item 4A and 4B, as appropriately labeled.
Perfect. All right. So we have a motion on the floor to approve items 4A and B of the consent calendar. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Casey. All right. With that, let's take a roll call vote. Bonilla, aye. Casey.
Aye.
Caballero.
Aye.
Cantrell. Garcia.
Aye.
Lardenois.
Aye.
Montañez,
Aye.
Oliverio.
Clarification, this is for 4A and 4B?
That is correct.
Aye.
Ordelas Wise,
Aye.
Torrance, Young.
Aye.
With that, the motion passes. And I'll give staff time to do the math dots over there.
2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8.
Okay. We can move forward though, even though the roll call isn't on the screen, Vera.
Then put the votes into the record, who voted how. And I think you've already done that because everybody's answered. But
Right.
if you could just, yeah, I think we're okay.
Okay, we're good. I did because everyone answers. So I'm going to roll with that.
Right.
All right, so we're now going to move to item 5, public hearing. I will now open the public hearing. Staff, the floor is yours for your presentation. And Jennifer, thank you for the multiple things you're doing right now. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is James Hahn, Project Manager with the Planning Division. First, staff wanted to correct a typo in the staff report and resolution. In the multiple sections, it references the demolition of 3 residential units. It should have stated 4 residential units, 1 single family house, 1 in a mixed-use building, and 2 as part of a duplex. What we have here before you this evening is to adopt a resolution certifying the Supplemental Environmental Impact Report to the Downtown Strategy 2040 Environmental Impact Report for the Marriott Town Place Suite on West San Carlos Street, and make certain findings concerning significant impacts, mitigation measures, alternatives, and adopting a statement of overriding considerations, and a related mitigation monitoring and reporting program, all in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. And to adopt a resolution for a vesting tentative permit to allow to merge 4 parcels into 1 parcel on an approximately 0.60 gross acre site. And to adopt a resolution approving a site development permit to allow the demolition of 4 residential units, a water tank building, 3 commercial buildings, removal of 7 trees, 2 ordinance size and 5 non-ordinance size, and 2 sheds for the construction of a building with up to 175 room hotel on an approximately 0.60 gross acre site. The project is located at 495 West San Carlos Street. The site has a land use designation of downtown, which supports a wide range of commercial uses. The project conforms with all applicable development standards for the downtown primary commercial zoning district, and a joint community meeting and environmental scoping meeting was held to discuss the project on September 24th, 2020. An on-site sign was also posted on this project frontage. This hearing was noticed to all owners and tenants of properties within a 1,000 feet radius of the subject site. As analyzed in detail in the staff report, the project is consistent with the general plan, zoning code, and applicable city council policies to develop a project in an identified growth area with appropriate land use and density. Therefore, staff recommends that Planning Commission recommend the City Council approve the project. With that, I will turn it over to the environmental planner, Rima Mahamud.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is Rima Mahamud, Environmental Review Planner with Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement. In response to the correction that the existing residential units are 4 and not 3 as stated in the draft Supplemental Environmental Impact Report, I'd like to state for the record that it does not change the environmental analysis in the draft SEIR. As stated before, the city prepared a draft SEIR to the Downtown Strategy 2040 EIR for this Marriott Town Place Suites project. The decision to prepare an EIR was made because the buildings on site will be demolished under the project, and some of the on-site buildings were determined to qualify as candidate city landmark historic structures. Demolition of these historic buildings is a significant and unavoidable impact under CEQA. The notice of preparation for the EIR was published in September 2020, and comments were accepted through October 12th of 2020. An EIR scoping meeting to receive comments from the public was held on September 24th, 2020. And the project and the NOP were presented to the Historic Landmarks Commission on October 7th, 2020. The draft SEIR identified a significant and unavoidable impact to historic resources because of the demolition that would occur with implementation of the project. 3 structures at 497 to 499 West San Carlos Street were determined to be good examples of economic and social heritage of the city and illustrates how lots were developed and used at the turn of the century. Although mitigation measures were developed to record these resources, the impact of the project on historic resources in the city would remain significant and unavoidable if the project were to be implemented. As required by CEQA, the draft SEIR identified alternatives to the project. The alternative that resulted in avoidance of the significant impacts of the project was Preservation Alternative 4, which would preserve all historic structures on site and would construct a reduced size hotel around these existing structures. This alternative assumes that the historic structures would be maintained and or adaptively reused. Compatibility of the historic structures and the new hotel would have to be evaluated under the city's historic design guidelines. The draft SEIR also identified construction period significant impacts for which mitigation measures were developed to reduce those impacts to less than significant levels. The draft SEIR was published and circulated for public comment from April 5th, 2021 through May 20, 2021. 4 comment letters were received during the review period, and an additional letter was received after the comment period ended. All comments were responded to in the first amendment to the draft SEIR, which was published on the city's environmental review website on August 2nd, 2021. All commenters were notified when the first amendment was published. All mitigation measures identified in the draft SEIR are included in the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, which is included in this permit. That ends my report.
Thank you for that. We have the applicant presentation now.
Great. So there we go. We have Jeff Current on the line here. I'll hand it over to you, Jeff.
Yes, we need share screen ability. There we go. All right, can everyone see that?
Yes.
All right, we're all set. Good evening, and thank you, planning commissioners and city planning staff and neighbors for participating in tonight. We're excited to present a new Marriott Hotel project. This is a project by Urban Catalyst. Studio Current is the design architect. Berger Detmer Ennis, the architect of record. Kimley Horn is the landscape architect, and CEA, Civil Engineering Associates, is a civil engineer. We're excited to present this new Marriott Hotel project. It's an 8-story building built of podium construction, 3 levels of concrete over at the lower base and 5 levels of wood frame. The neighborhood is the Diridon Station area. Our site is at the northeast corner of West San Carlos Street and Josefa. The site, as mentioned, is a little over 26,000 square feet or 0.6 acres, and we're approximately a quarter mile from the Dierdon station. Our context is a combination of commercial, residential, and some industrial uses. The West San Carlos corridor between Santana Row, Valley Fair, and downtown San Jose is one of the fastest growing urban villages in the city. Our site contains 6 buildings, as was mentioned, and 2 sheds, all proposed for removal to make way for the Marriott Hotel project. This is the ground floor of our project, 175 room hotel with the primary frontage on West San Carlos Street. Ground floor contains the lobby and reception desk, ample amenity space for guests, along with offices for staff. One of the project goals is to activate the streetscape, which falls in line with the Dierdon Station Plan vision to create a lively pedestrian and bicycle-friendly environment. We're widening the front sidewalk along West San Carlos Street to 15 feet with guest loading and unloading in front. And we've added landscape planters along the front of the building. Our 3-level parking garage sits on the north edge of the site, and it has parking for all of the hotel needs. The required parking is 62 parking spaces or 0.35 per hotel room. Provided is 103 parking spaces. That's 41 parking stalls above required, plus 8 motorcycle and 19 bicycle spaces. You can also see a few vignettes over here on the right, some of the renderings of the ground floor lobby amenity space, including a large mural that's to be done in partnership with Local Color, which commemorates the agricultural and entrepreneurial history and spirit of the neighborhood, and can be seen through the large storefront windows on West San Carlos Street. This is the 2nd and 3rd floor plans of the building. Again, the front of the building is wrapped with amenity space, a large fitness center, and some back of house, including the laundry and the employee break room. The rear portion of both of these floors is taken up by more parking. This slide represents floors 4 through 7. These are the primary guest room floors, which show typical hotel guest rooms around a central courtyard. Many of these rooms look out to a lushly landscaped court, and it's open to the sky. Level 8 is the next image. This is the top floor of the hotel. Once again, some amenity spaces along the West San Carlos frontage include a rooftop deck, an open air lounge, and a couple of meeting rooms. And the remainder of the floor is hotel guest rooms as well. This shows the exterior look and feel of the project. The neighborhood, historically near the train station, was a combination of industrial, commercial, and residential uses.
Sorry to interrupt, you have 1 minute left.
The architectural concept incorporates brick at the lower level and a corrugated metal accent detail on the corner of the building, and both wood and plaster on the upper body of the building. These materials reflect the history of the site and rich diversity of the neighborhood. The hotel is designed with a classic base, middle, and top. When completed, the hotel will bring much life, vitality, and economic activity to the neighborhood. Thank you very much. This ends the presentation, and our team is available for questions you may have.
Thank you for that. With that, do we have any public comment on this item?
Hi, Chair. Yes, we do. We have Paul Soto.
Great.
Paul, go ahead and unmute your device and begin to speak. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Paul Soto. I'm a lifelong resident of San Jose. I have 15 ancestors buried at Oak Hill Cemetery, And I'd like to announce at least that the opportunity housing memo that Dev Davis was trying to put through rules got canceled out. One of the primary reasons it got canceled out is because of the historical injustices that have happened in the city with respect to housing. And so what my challenge is to this community, and it has to do with housing like this, is that we need an objective definition of what equity means within the context of these conversations. Because just throwing the word around and thinking that people know what that means, it's not working. The subjective definition of it is out. It's just not going to work anymore. And so we're already taking a stand, and this was significant because the logic and the reasoning, and I would suggest people listen to what happened today, because the logic and the reasoning is being centered on that. I'm not going to be satisfied until I got Section 8 housing built in Willow Glen and people are permitted to have pit bulls in the front yard. That's justice. That's equity. Because the wealth that has been accumulated in that neighborhood is illegitimate because it was based on a racist policy that created Sacipuedes and all of the conditions in Sacipuedes Willow Glen profited from. So what I'd like to know, or what I'd like to challenge this commission to do, is have an objective definition that is legal, that has the binding of a legal term to apply to all of these housings. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Yes, we have Brian Flynn. Brian, go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Good evening. My name is Brian Flynn from the law firm Lozo Drury, here on behalf of Laborers International Union of North America, Local Union 270. Leona is requesting that the commission refrain from recommending approval of the project at this time because the EIR fails to address the project's significant impacts on air quality. Leona submitted a comment on the draft EIR that raised serious concerns about the increased cancer risk to future hotel employees resulting from off-gassing of formaldehyde from composite wood products. Leona's indoor air quality expert calculated that the increased cancer risk to future employees exceeded the applicable significance thresholds of 10 in 1 million. The city did respond in the final EIR and claimed that the project would comply with Cal Green building standards and formaldehyde regulations from the Air Resources Board. However, the formaldehyde risk calculations already assumed that the project would comply with those standards and still found the impact to be significant. The formaldehyde standard set by the Air Resources Board is just a floor, not a ceiling of what can be required under CEQA, and an EIR must address this issue. The city also claimed that the impact of formaldehyde emissions did not need to be addressed because CEQA only requires the analysis of a project's impact on the environment. Here, the formaldehyde emissions are clearly an impact of the project on the environment. They're not an existing condition, and the project will be responsible for exposing future employees to those emissions that do not currently exist. For those reasons and the further reasons discussed in our comment letter on the draft EIR, Leona requests the commission not recommend approval of this at this time and address these concerns in a revised EIR prior to project approval. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Right, Chair, confirming that there are no more raised hands at this time.
All right, no more raised hands. With that, the applicant has 5 minutes to respond to public comment. The floor is yours.
Tom, are you still on? I think Tom had probably a couple comments on public benefit of the project. I can go to that slide.
I'm still here. Thanks, Jeff. Great job getting through that presentation in 5 minutes there. Yeah, I think the last thing we have to comment on is we did want to highlight some of the community benefits. So I'm Tom Holt, the development manager for Urban Catalyst on this project. We do have a pretty full development team here to answer questions if there are questions that come up. But we did want to talk about these community benefits. One community benefit is that the project is consistent with the policies of the 2040 General Plan and DSAP. Both plans encourage or envision downtown San Jose as a vibrant place for people to live, work, and visit. Secondly, the project is anticipated to generate at least $1.3 million annually in transit occupancy tax revenue. This one is a big one. Transit occupancy tax revenue is one of the largest sources of funds for the art and cultural community in San Jose, which is really necessary to create a vibrant downtown area. And a third benefit is the community asked for a signalized intersection along West San Carlos, and Urban Catalyst has agreed to pay for that signalized intersection voluntarily. That really concludes our presentation. Rima may have some comments about the technical aspects of CEQA and the EIR that Brian Flynn raised, but we don't have any comments at this time.
All right, thank you. I know there was a legal letter. Vera, did you want to weigh in? I know you did last time. No obligation to do so, but I did want to give you an opportunity if you felt that you needed to.
No, but perhaps CEQA staff would like to do that.
All right, then that's appropriate. CEQA staff, would you like to address the legal letter that was introduced into the record during public comment?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so staff did respond to the letter from Mr. Flynn in the draft SEIR. In accordance with the California Supreme Court December 2015 opinion, CEQA is concerned with the impacts of a project on the environment and not the impacts of the existing environment on the project's future users, unless the risk exacerbates the environmental hazards or risks that already exist. Additionally, the Bay Area Air Quality Management District does not have an adopted threshold for formaldehyde exposure from indoor building sources and does not define a specific threshold to regulate indoor air quality. The project will be constructed to the most recent California Building Code regulations, which specifies that composite wood products are required to meet the formaldehyde specifications required under the California Air Resources Board air toxic control measures. Lastly, it would be speculative for the city to estimate the type and volume of building materials that may contain formaldehyde.
All right, well, thank you for that, Rima. It's appreciated. So with that, I will now open it up to commissioner questions. Right now, I've got Caballero and Lardenois in the queue. Caballero, the floor is yours.
Hi, I have a question related to parking, and I understand that the required parking is only 62 spots, but this project is recommending 103. I just wonder why so many additional spots. I think that one of the goals of the general plan is to try to get people out of their cars and into public transit, bikes, walking, etc., and to add, essentially 40 extra parking spaces. I want to understand the justification and sort of what DOT sort of thinks about the added spaces.
Yes, Urban Catalyst, do you guys want to take that one, or would you like me to do that?
Yeah, I can take that one. So I mean, the project really does facilitate a positive pedestrian experience. Currently, the sidewalk along West San Carlos is only about 9 feet wide. We're going to be setting back the building about 6 feet so that the sidewalk will be about 15 feet wide. So we think that that will significantly enhance the pedestrian experience. The project is located within close walking distance of the downtown core, and it's also located within close walking distance of Diridon Station. So we do think that many of the guests of the hotel will walk to their destinations. So we think that this will be a pedestrian-focused building, but for a building like this, our experienced operator has been strongly recommending, well, initially recommending one-to-one parking. We've significantly reduced that recommendation, but we feel that this number of spaces is necessary to satisfy the demand of the guests and also minimize overflow parking from the hotel use in the neighborhood.
Commissioner Caballero, do you have any other questions?
I do have one additional question. So, this commission approved 2 other hotel projects that were then subsequently denied by the city council. What makes this project different than those 2 kind of hotel projects that were also in the DSAP area? Maybe this is for staff. I would assume this is for staff.
Commissioner, do you know which of the other two projects that were denied? The only one I'm familiar with is the Stockton project, but that wasn't in the DSAP. And I don't recall any other hotels that were recently denied.
Yes, I thought both of the hotel projects along Stockton were either denied or postponed. Perhaps I'm mistaken.
So one was denied in terms of, my understanding was the scale next to the adjacent neighborhood is the primary reason. Those are out, that's outside both growth areas. And I don't recall the other one.
John, we approved one and the council denied another. Both on Stockton.
Yeah, she said there were two denied. I just wasn't sure which was the other one. So yeah, the one was mainly about you had issues about the adjacency next to the neighborhood. And there is another application in with a more scaled down version of that hotel. I hope that answers your question about the other one. Yeah.
And Cassandra has her hand up, so maybe she wants to.
Cassandra, go ahead.
Thank you, and I apologize for my lighting.
Okay.
I was a project manager on the 615 Stockton Hotel, and that one included a general plan amendment, which was another reason why the city council denied it. They chose to deny the general plan amendment. It was changing a portion of the project site from the RN residential neighborhood general plan designation to commercial. And it was outside the growth areas.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Caballero?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Lardenois.
Thank you, Chair. Just to speak on community benefits that came up during the second half of the presentation. I mean, complying with the general plan and paying the hotel occupancy tax, those are just basic requirements. I mean, if the project didn't meet those, we would be obligated to recommend denial. But I want to, that being said, call out the signalization improvements on West San Carlos. That's really important. I go visit all the project sites before we have these meetings, and when I went out to this site, it was pretty scary getting across the street to get a view of it, and it's a pretty big road with no signalization at all. So I'm really glad to see that as part of this project.
Thank you, Commissioner Lardenois. Do we have any other questions from commissioners? Okay. Commissioner Ornelas Wise and then Commissioner Oliverio.
Hi, I think the project looks fantastic. It looks like a really nice design. Because the Children's Discovery Museum's not too far, you might have a lot of guests from, the Children's Discovery Museum. So I guess one of the things that I would have liked to see is a little bit more amenities for families, like a pool or a playground for kids or something to complement some of the large land uses that are recreation in the area. That's just some feedback. And another concern that I had was specifically, and Rima, maybe you could chime in on this in regards to CEQA and the historical structures that were there. So I know that there was some mitigation measures put in place. Can you let me know what those mitigation, because I was concerned that these landmarks were going to get demolished. Is there any way that they could actually be removed, like to the Kelly Park? I mean, I know that construction material has quadrupled recently, and maybe repurpose some of that wood or somehow salvage some of that?
So historic structures can be moved to other locations, but there are certain guidelines in terms of if you're going to move a historic structure, you need to move it to a place that is comparable in terms of location. And these historic structures were specific to its current location. That's where the importance of the historic value comes in, because they are part of the commerce that happened in San Jose at the turn of the century. The applicant did try to find alternate locations for these, the three structures, and they were unable to find a suitable location that the city would approve of. So the applicant did do their due diligence on that part.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner
Yeah.
Weiss?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wish that there was a little bit more. I guess I want to know exactly what were the mitigation measures put in place.
Sorry, yeah, I can speak to that. So these are pretty standard mitigation measures whenever a historic building is being demolished. There's recordation that would take place. There'd be pictures, pictures that will be taken, the history would be noted, and they will be filed in, usually it's in History San Jose, where a lot of this information will be saved. So those are pretty standard measures that are used for any time that a historic building or structure is being demolished.
Yeah, and Rima, if I could add, as also part of the mitigation measures for this project. So as you mentioned, we did reach out to a number of different organizations trying to find a suitable receiver site for the buildings. So we reached out to History San Jose, San Jose Parks and Rec, and others. And at the time, we weren't able to find a suitable receiver site. But part of the mitigation measures are that we do need to advertise these buildings as available for relocation. So we will do that. And if nobody wants to receive the buildings, then we will offer the building up for salvage so that a salvage company that's experienced with the reuse of the historic materials can come on the site and take those materials.
Thank you, Tom and Rima. I really appreciate that.
Commissioner Ornelas, before you go on, let me just explain something to the public. The reason Mr. Holt was able to jump into the conversation is because we have not closed the public hearing precisely for these opportunities so that commissioners can have questions answered by both staff and the applicant. However, I will ask the applicant to please raise your hand and give me the space to call you out. That way we can keep the flow and the decorum going. Commissioner Ornelas Weiss, go ahead.
I did note in the report, the staff report, that it said not full commercial kitchen. I saw that a couple times. So there will be no restaurant or no, I thought, like, for something of that size and magnitude, why wouldn't there be a full-size kitchen? I don't know if, was there not a commercial kitchen in the facility?
Is that question to the applicant?
To the applicant. Yeah, I saw it in the staff report that it did not have a full kitchen. I don't know what that really meant.
Mr. Holt.
Yeah, so the project is envisioned as a select service hotel, so we won't have a full service restaurant, but there will be limited service for breakfast and things like that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. With that, I will now move on to Commissioner Oliverio.
A question for the applicant on the signalized intersection. Those aren't inexpensive. How much is that? I'm assuming it's in the six figures.
Yeah, for this project, I think the commitment is $55,000. Urban Catalyst also has two other projects that have been approved in the immediate neighborhood. Those two other projects have also committed to contributing the same. So it's about $160,000 for the signalized intersection.
Got it. So the project that the Planning Commission approved a month ago across the street, roughly, it's about the same stature, size, et cetera. Those are pulling funds to pay for the signalized intersection.
That's right.
Great. And then when you provide a very good public good or a gift with a wide sidewalk, and I think if pedestrians recognize when it's a narrow sidewalk versus an expansive sidewalk that you're providing, what type of cost is that? I mean, that's not free, right? It changes your economics of development to give that right away. How does that affect the project?
Well, we think the project as is financially viable. I don't know off the top of my head how to quantify that value.
Sure. I mean, someone probably at some point figured out square footage loss, et cetera. I just want to say that I think it's great when we get these expansive wide sidewalks. So I was curious on that. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Oliverio. I don't see any other questions from my colleagues. Going once, going twice. Okay. With that, we will then go ahead and close the public hearing. And Commissioner Oliverio has his hands up. I have a funny feeling I know what's coming, so let's go.
Well, you're correct, Chair. I think this whole area of San Carlos has been You know, if this was 15 years ago, the government, the city, would be paying millions of dollars to push this type of development for the economic development of the city. But since Jerry Brown and the legislature ended the redevelopment agency, it's really up to the private entities out there. And this really matches what we're trying to do in the downtown and our general plan. And so I certainly support the staff recommendation and would simply make a motion to support the staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Oliverio, a second by Casey. With that, we will now do a roll call vote. Bonilla, aye. Casey.
Aye.
Caballero.
Aye.
Cantrell. Garcia.
Aye.
Lardenois.
Aye.
Montañez.
Aye.
Oliverio.
Aye.
Ornelas Wise.
Aye.
Torrance.
Aye.
Young.
Aye.
Let me give Commissioner Cantrell a chance to vote. Is Mr. Cantrell on the call? I don't see him. Okay, so with that, the motion passes 10-1 with Cantrell being absent. And I will wait for staff to do the magic dots and the vote up here.
Chair Bonilla,
Yes.
if I may, I wanted to clarify what happened with item 4C. Was it the commissioner, the maker of the motion's intent to defer or to continue all of item 4C or just the recommendation 3, which is Apple only?
It was, I mean, it was my intention to continue the entire thing. I guess I didn't realize that it could be divided in that way.
If you desire to amend your motion, to ask for reconsideration and amend the motion, and if that's okay with the seconder of the motion, you could approve everything with the exception of recommendation 3, if you desired tonight.
And just to streamline that, Jennifer, if we were just to not do that and just do the whole thing, would we have quorum without the folks who have a conflict?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Chair, would you entertain a motion to take up item 4C?
Well,
with the exception of item 3, it's just a suggestion because you could do that. And I was just wanted to clarify because I know we were talking about Apple only.
Right. I figured, but we might as well just.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not time sensitive, let's just keep it as is. I think that'll be my position. We'll keep it as is, and we'll vote it as a package in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Oh,
but thank you for that, Vera. Yeah. We'll take it all at once in 2 weeks. All right. Well, thank you for that. So we are now going on to item 6, referrals from city council, boards, commissions, and other agencies. Do we have any referrals from council, boards, commissions, or other agencies?
None.
No, that is good. Item 7A, report from city council. Staff, is there a report from the city council?
Yes, there is one item that went to city council from this commission, and that has to do with the Serpentine Pavilion, which this commission acted on about a month ago. It was appealed to the city council. City council held a de novo hearing and denied the appeal and approved the conditional use permit, thereby upholding your decision.
Vera, for those of us that that did go to law school, can you define de novo for everyone in the public? Just what that means?
A no vote.
A de novo.
I'm sorry.
De novo.
Oh, de novo. Okay, Thank you. De novo is Latin for anew. And so what basically it means is that the hearing is heard all over again. It means that, what happened previously doesn't really matter in the record. It's heard anew from the beginning.
Thank you for that. With that, we will now move to, is there anything else, Robert, under that item?
That is it. They denied the appeal and approved the project.
All right, perfect. So we'll now go to item 7B, subcommittee formation reports and outstanding business. Is there anything to report there?
None.
Commission calendar and study sessions. Anything to report there? Commissioner Caballero?
I have a question about the commissioner calendar on the website. It shows that we're coming back to chambers in September. But I had emailed staff previously asking when we might be coming back, and they mentioned November. So I'm wondering if there's any clarity for those of us who might need to plan for a variety of things to start coming back in person.
Commissioner Caballero, still seem to be in a flux. The guidelines change every once in a while. So I see that Vera has, maybe she can chime in here.
Oh, no,
Yeah, go ahead.
Before. She just shook her head.
Oh, got it.
Okay, yeah. It seems to be in a flux. Every week something new comes. So
maybe the
we
website
can't.
should be TBD instead of saying in chambers, just because I think it's confusing, and I would hate for members of the public to start showing up on September 8th and we're not there.
Well noted. We'll make the correction to reflect to be determined.
That is a great suggestion, Commissioner Caballero. All right. Any other comments under commission calendar and study session? Commissioner Oliverio?
Thanks, Chair. I don't know where to bring this up, but when we have comments from the members of the public on an agenda item and they don't speak about anything regarding the actual item, it is the chair's opportunity to limit that discussion. It happens pretty repeatedly, and I would just only ask that because it doesn't pertain to the agenda item.
The chair absolutely appreciates the feedback and understands that in this specific instance. I did feel broadly that there was some connection to the topic, but I am aware of it and I will continue to monitor it. But thank you for your comment. With that, the public record. Anything anyone want to add to the public record? Well, I will say this, that the fundamental reason why I did not approve the initial request for a motion is because I wanted Commissioner Lardenois to enjoy his happy birthday. And wanted to wish him a happy birthday right here before his colleagues in the city as a whole. So happy birthday, Justin.
Thank you, Chair.
Of course.
Happy birthday.
Are you sparing us with singing?
Well, you know what, we can, right? But I don't think he'll ever come back to a meeting. We don't want that. Well, with that, happy birthday, Justin. Everyone, have a great evening. See you at the next one.
Happy birthday.